This is the story of the super force of space explorers. More than me.
Clobberin Times! The speaker for the dead! The Rooster Dave Bob! And the Lady Arwyn Avalon! Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I blew my fucking voice out this morning doing that. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone out there doing? Daryl the Daryl, greetings, program. How are you doing? Anti-derivative Jill. Good morning, anti-derivative Jill Shellback, TJC. Happy Dinosaur 8000. How you doing, little dino buddy? Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington. Good morning, Pat Ass. Greetings, brother. The Mad Dr. Adega Outlaw is here. Good morning, Adega Man Squatch. What is up? Snortapoops Cuber, my favorite polar bear on YouTube. Mark the Imply Tired. Chris Persia. The Wrenches of Ragnarok are here. Good morning, gentlemen. Project Storytime somewhere. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere. He's somewhere out there. Das Whoopin', good morning. Das Whoopin', Pacific 414. God, I have a whole bunch of energy this morning to just keep going, and I never need to breathe. Greetings, everybody. I hope you've had a great week. Lord Thoth, Lady Miss, the Guardian of the Void, good morning. Greetings, everybody. We are here to talk Orville, and we're going to talk Orville because, by God, it was getting burned down in the green room, just like what's his name was getting the shit kicked out of him this whole episode. Every
Lamar.
time he had Lamar, God. Oh, where the hell do we start with this?
I don't know.
Well, in the words of Yaphet, it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Best thing about the episode.
I love Yaphet's one-liners.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. It's just a mess. I mean,
Getting kicked out of engineering this week. Bullshit.
and the girls. Bye, boy.
Oh man. Did the
Okay, I knew there
girls
was gonna
have a
be
little
some
bit too much
triggering.
fun with this week? I was like, you guys are being bitches. Pardon my French. Sorry, I shouldn't say that out loud. Lord, I apologize.
That's the funniest line. Also, was Bortus with the hypocritical stuff. Like they are awful.
They are.
Yeah. They
And the
are
look that
awful.
Claire shoots him at one point when he's like, "They sound backwards" or whatever
How
it is that he says.
That was almost worth the episode just to have that one line from Bortus.
What does Bortus say though when he's like he gets up and he's he see they're awful, but there's like another line that he says where it's like they're in the briefing room and he's like, how could people be so big or something like that, and everybody just like looks at him like,
Yeah.
what?
Move that luggage.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. There was some truth though in that scene when they came out and they had like 1 million bags each.
Why
and
would
they're
they have that?
like,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
Women
Yes.
always
they're
travel
still
like
women
that.
and they still, have luggage will travel.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
What the hell's in this thing? My industrial strength hair dryer.
All about the purses and the shoes, y'all. It's all
They
about
don't have
the purses and the
anti-gravs
shoes.
like they use. They have anti-grav little like trolley things like they have in that century. They just weren't allowed to use them.
No, make the men carry the luggage. I'm sorry, make them carry the luggage.
I know that was the big goofy joke. It was one of the
I'll
bring
call
back
it
some
out.
of the old
First,
Orville
sir.
humor.
There
That's
was
Orville
truth in it.
humor there.
It's like I don't care what species you are, whatever. A woman's got to have her bags, y'all. It's just
Had to have a little slap. Had to have a little slap thing when he falls over carrying it. A little bit of Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was sort of a callback to the old Orville humor.
I found
If you ever had parents that went on vacation and drove places, you damn well know, because it was like, okay, my dad walks out with the duffel bag, then he goes back in and he carries out suitcase after suitcase after suitcase, and that's not his shit. She packed the damn coffee maker.
Yeah.
She packed everything in the bathroom. She had Tupperware. Fucking Tupperware. Why are you bringing the Tupperware? Because it burps. Oh my God. I'll get on the road and I'll take a Prozac and then I'll get out the burping Tupperware. And you're like, oh my God, these are my parents.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe Lady Mist.
Women gotta have their bags, y'all.
They do.
Young Buddy says she
all of
travels
them.
light.
Hmm?
Young Bunny says she
I thought it was
travels
funny when
light.
Malloy
Because
stopped.
Gun Bunny's
and
smart.
Mercer runs
Look,
into
Gun,
it.
Yeah,
Gun
I
Bunny,
didn't
were
say
you
we weren't
military? Were you
She's smart.
military, Gun Bunny? If you were military, that explains why. That right there explains why. A woman only needs her go bag and that's it.
my makeup bag
Oh.
alone takes up a duffel bag. I mean, come on now.
Adega, I think you
We're
might be
talking real.
alone. No, I think Loki liked this one, actually.
I did. I thought it was funny. I laughed. I think that it's been missing some comedy lately. It's been way too serious and missing some comedy. But there was still some seriousness in this episode with the K-lon. So,
Yes.
with
At least the comedy stuff was funny, but it was dumb but funny.
yeah. I loved God, Brian just said his name and I can't even think about it. Lamar. I love Lamar getting the shit kicked out of him. that was just, man. And we were talking backstage and I was like, I wish at the end of this episode that the doctor finally found out what had been going on and gave him some kind of like bone density treatment or something to where he could take it, and she wasn't kicking the shit out of him all the time. Cause I mean, you're just banging, y'all. It shouldn't be like, oh, my leg, I mean, God help me, oh, my hip, you fractured your hip. How the hell did you fracture your hip? Workout holodeck thing.
The only time it didn't ring true was when she broke his femur. I'm like, if you broke somebody's femur, you would not be walking. You would not. I mean, you would have to literally be carried out in a
And his hip.
And his
And his
yeah.
hip.
I was just like, okay, that's a little.
got damaged.
Actually,
But
the
I mean,
face part
funny.
was kind of idiotic. I mean, that was the part like, okay, that's a bit much. I mean, it was pretty interesting before that.
Well,
It's an
we
interesting
all know
problem
what
to
guys
have.
will do to keep having sex.
Anybody catch the part where the one Javisi woman was saying, "I'll take him if nobody makes a claim on him." And then
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Gordon James says, "I'll do it."
Like, I'll do it.
Like I said,
He's
the
ready
humor.
to throw himself on that sword.
Yeah.
Oh,
They sacrifice logic for humor, but that's okay. Like the idiocy of them setting the whole thing up on a lie.
Yeah.
We're going to lie to them, but they'll trust us later somehow. We're going to ease them into it. It's like, okay, now this show's written by 5-year-olds again. All of a sudden, I mean, actually, not again. It never was before. The whole season's been like that. If you think about it, doing idiotic things like taking an admiral over to a very dangerous-looking, spidery-looking space station with no security. A president and a senator and an admiral going to a hostile planet like the Krill with no security. Going at all was pretty stupid. They do unbelievably idiotic things this year. It's kind of stuff they didn't really do the first couple of seasons.
it feels like somebody left. You know, somebody who was keeping reins on everything.
Maybe Favreau really left and they just still put his name in the credits.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like somebody walked away and have just left them scrambling. Because like you're saying, like every episode, it feels like they get really close to something good, and that they never like carry it to the end. That's what I keep getting to the episode and feeling like, okay, where's the payoff? Where's the I never feel that. It's
No, they're too busy
like
lecturing
a
you.
case of, pardon my French here, but blue balls. It's like you just like, really? We never
keeps getting in the way.
Agenda.
we never get there.
And Mark, you don't have to say a name. We know exactly who you're talking about. Hello, Maddie. How are you this morning? Gun Bunny, Loki. I'm a tomboy and a military dependent. That explains it right there. That's why.
You know,
All right.
5 stories means you have no story, by the way. Go ahead.
I will say this. All right. I did enjoy this episode. Come on. It actually, there were a couple of parts that really got to me on a personal level. But I will say this. What confused me about the crew, particularly Ed and Kelly, is, and y'all refresh my memory. Okay, they kept mentioning the Mocklins. You know, it's like similar with dealing with the Mocklins because, you know, they're a single sex society and they're down on the females, yada, yada, yada. Did they ever go out of their way towards the Mocklins like they did towards the Genesi?
No.
I mean, if the situation, excuse me, was reversed and they came across a strictly, like a true patriarchal society, not this BS they're trying to peddle today, that's the patriarchy, give me a break, but a true patriarchal, y'all know what I'm trying to say. Would they have made the women on the ship seem subservient? Would they have gone that far if it was the other way around?
They never had to before. They never had to in any of the Mocklin episodes.
Remember, they did not know there were such a thing as female Mocklins until that episode about a boy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking when I was watching this. I'm like, okay, well, number one, y'all are lying to these people. I know you're trying to win them over and come into our union, but you're just balls to the wall lying to them. That's not going to work out so well. That was my first thought.
Can't start
in that first episode, Ed talks to Bortus like he's never met a Mocklin before. He's like, "Oh my God, your species only
male,
pees
right?
once a year. You're all male, you know, and your species only pees once a year. Wow, that's amazing. I'm up 3-4 times a night constantly."
That was kind of a logic lapse there because that race became a member of the union and they didn't know that about him. They didn't vet that about him. It stretches credulity a bit, but it was still, the show was great at that point. And of course, About a Girl was a great episode.
Yeah.
But now you look back and you go, yeah, that's kind of dopey that they wouldn't know that.
Well, Ed wasn't the most, up to date on anything. I mean, he got a ship and was like, "Oh my God, I got a ship."
The union didn't know that either about the Mocklins.
So, okay. So that goes back to my point. All right, here they are, and they are meeting this alien society that it obviously does not gel. Okay, they're all matriarchal, they're males are subservient, blah blah blah. Want them in the union, fine, but they go out of their way to deceive them. And to be honest, if I had been one of the Genesi, I'd be pissed too. I'd be like, our first meeting, and you're completely deceiving us. instead of just
What else
coming
are you
out
telling
and
us?
being honest.
Yeah. That's what we were discussing in the green room before you came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part I was like, Ed, Kelly, y'all are making some pretty poor ass decisions lately. You need to
And the
go back to
Yeah,
the green room.
DJ Ron and G. I'm not meaning to break in on you, Arwyn,
Oh.
but he makes a very good point. Federation didn't know about Pomfar and TOS.
Mm.
No,
They
it-
were best friends of the
real-
Vulcans.
not real TOS.
They had been allied with them for at that point, what, like 75 years?
That's a little bit different. That's not really analogous. I mean, that's to what we're talking about here, though.
So 75 years they'd been allied with the Vulcans and had no idea about Ponfar. And the Mocklin Treaty isn't that old. They haven't been allied with the Mocklins that long.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, there's always going to be
little bit
things
different,
about a
though.
species that you're not going to be privy to.
Yeah, there was nothing.
want-
Mhm.
Right. It was none of the Federation's beeswax what the Falcon do with their reproductive systems either. But we're talking about usually they vet a society in terms of how they treat their people. And the Federation did anyway, and the Union's supposed to be like the Federation. I think that's a little bit apples and oranges.
I guess what I'm talking about is the way that you approach a new species. Like if they had come across if it was strictly patriarchal and the women were subservient, would they have taken that tack? Would
No.
Ed and Kelly have been like, okay, all the women on the ship need to pretend to be our slaves, need to pretend to be subservient. It's only males in command. I don't think they would have done that. And I'm
No.
spitballing because they are just, they're the characters, blah, blah, blah.
It was
But the point
done
that
purely.
they did that to this one annoyed me a little bit.
It was done purely for laughs.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And it got some because I laughed on some
It
of
was
that stuff.
funny,
I
yeah.
admit
I did too. And
I thought it was hysterical.
I agree. It was stupid.
if you met an alien species, you have and you made some kind of treaty, and one of your people had relations with that, and they ate him. Because that's what they do. Well, after we mate, we eat the man. Which, we know spiders and shit do that shit. So how do you deal with that? You just go, okay, nobody has sex with these people. All right, it's banned. We do not
Avoid at all
fornicate.
costs.
Avoid at all cost, because the female eats the male after they procreate. All right, so unless you want to be eaten alive, do not do that. It is forbidden. And still, some dumb son of a bitch is gonna go stick their head in the lion's mouth just because.
Some motherfuckers always got to be skating up.
Yes, some motherfuckers always got to ice skate uphill.
I could not
All
say
about the
that.
snoo snoo, isn't it?
All about this new snoo. Jesus. Which is exactly what Lamar did this whole episode.
Lamar.
Man, you know what?
People
It
have
just
died, yeah.
After
Yeah.
my arm
Got a
got
little
broke and I
whack,
got
like-
my ribs cracked and I was all beat up like that, I think I'd have said, this shit ain't gonna be long term.
Well, I'm with Loki. My first broken bone, I'd be like, Claire, I need something because I really dig this man, but oh my God, I fucking broke my bone. Help me out, Claire. Yeah, I'd be searching all over the universe for a cure for that. There are
we
things
shouldn't
to
have
do.
tried that. We shouldn't have tried that. Sorry.
I gotta admit though, I'm sitting there wondering, maybe pervy mind that I am, but what are they doing? What position? What are they doing that he's getting so damn beat up? And then I remembered, oh, okay, all right. Zalayan.
Well, hell, she
Okay.
goes cowboy. If she goes cowboy and drops on him too hard, that's it. Pelvic bone shattered.
Yep.
On other broken bones. Damn, baby, you bent it. Shit, it's bent.
But
It ain't going back to normal.
I expected them to kind of go there actually with the broken, broccoli and asparagus there. I did. I'm like, okay, they are going to go there, but they never quite said that. But, imagination wanders, y'all. In the
I
morning,
like the K-lon story in this, but it felt like a bad remake of Bicentennial Man. Did anybody else feel
Yes,
that way?
when they brought him home, yes,
Yeah.
it's immediately what I thought is Robin Williams Bicentennial Man.
I'm like, this is a horrible version of that film. because I love that film. It's a great
Yeah.
Chris Columbus movie. I mean, and it's way
Yeah.
underrated. But I mean, I was just like, and that's what it felt like. They went almost scene for scene for that movie and just turned it dark. And I mean, which I understand, but I'm like, you could have done that in a lot different ways. And also kind of felt like the Animatrix, if you've ever watched that, how the machines rise up against the human beings. It happens in almost the exact same way. It starts
Well,
with the
iRobot.
butler
Yeah.
robot killing its family.
iRobot.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I thought of iRobot. I thought of Battlestar Galactica. I mean, this story has been done
Yep.
before,
Done.
but it was kind of interesting to see
Matrix.
it from the K-lon point of view.
Done.
Matrix.
Done.
A lot of people they
Yeah.
never dig into the origins unless you watch Animatrix. They never dig into the origins in those movies, but it's almost the exact same story. Man builds robot does work, robot eventually starts talking to other robots through like a Wi-Fi link, and then they ask, why are we here and why do we need to keep doing this shit for you? Man overreacts, man tries to kill robot kills man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dean Krantz, all right, we're going on Liberty. The women here eat their men after sex, so keep it in your pants, Smith. I'm talking to you, dummy. Yes. Oh, man.
But I mean, I thought it was okay, but I was just I don't know. I guess I was expecting something different from that storyline. I don't know how they'd have done it, but it was kind of cool to see them actually show us how we got the K-lon.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. Like I said, I sat there feeling like, okay, Robin Williams is going to come out of a closet any you know, during that. I'm just, but because I loved that movie, and this just felt like kind of a really horrible knockoff of it, and so I don't know. It just kind of left me cold, but at the same time, it was interesting to watch.
Fair enough.
Thank you for being here, Kamikaze D. Enjoy the show when you get a chance to see it later. I got 2 super chats I want to take care of. Darius Munchausen with $1.49 super sticker. Thank you so very much, brother, for that super sticker. He is throwing popcorn at us. And DJ Ronnie G with $5 super chat. I'm just happy that they covered the K-lon backstory, even if there was an excess of subplots.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
I was too.
At least we get to find out. And I mean, it's pretty much what I thought it was going to be. We were talking before we went live. We were talking about the kids and what the kids do. And I totally believe that, because kids can be little shits, especially when you're a kid. Kids can be vicious little shits, and you never see it coming. Especially if you're new. If you're new somewhere, you move around a lot. I got shit constantly. Who the hell are you? What the hell are you doing here? Just because I was in a military family and we moved around all the fucking time. So you get shit, and kids can be cruel, kids can be mean, and they will laugh their asses off about it, like those kids were when they were hitting that button. Look, he fell down again. Oh, look. Oh, hey, one, can you go and get me some berries from the fridge?
Well, he was basically a toy to them. He was a big toy.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wasn't anything, you know.
And those kids weren't like that at the beginning. They became like that after watching their parents.
Yeah.
And that's what I found interesting, was that because at first the kids seemed like pretty normal, you know, healthy, decent kids. And then, it devolves after that button, the punishment comes in, you know.
Yeah.
Because once you can, they've proven this through like what the Nazis did. Oh, I said the N-word.
Don't worry about it.
But that you can, once you start to devalue someone, you can devalue anybody.
That's right.
They talk about that in one of the Star Trek episodes where Picard's being tortured, and the little girl comes in. He's like, how can you let your daughter watch this? Because once she learns how to devalue me, she'll devalue you. You know, and it's just, I mean, it is a great concept.
Oh, poor lights. Poor lights, damn you.
But yeah,
I learned it from watching you, Dad, and that's exactly what I said. He saw his dad doing it, and he was like, you know what? I can do it too, because I saw Dad doing it. So if it's okay for Dad, it's okay for me.
Right.
And that's how every generation gets either better or worse. It's through the parenting. So when we look around and we see in our world today that it's all going to hell, it's just like, well, we kind of sent it there. We're the ones that raised the kids, you know.
Someone said this earlier. I'm looking back. I believe that K1 is, what is his name? Timur?
Yeah.
Timus.
Yeah,
I think K1 is Timus because of the color of his eyes, and he's a Gen 1. I think that's that's what we were seeing was Timus's backstory.
I thought that too, because he was portraying that story as almost as if it was a memory that he was, you know. That's what I took too. That was him.
PJ, Orville Nation.
Yeah.
What is up, PJ?
What's up, dude?
PJ.
Not to be confused with JP on that other Orville channel.
On that other
Good
PJ's
morning,
the
my
Mirror
friend.
Universe version.
Yeah, PJ's the Mirror Universe.
JP's the whole.
And did anybody else find? See, I found between the Mocklins and then is it the Genesi? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, the Genesi.
You've got the extremes. You've got the absolute male chauvinists and the absolute fourth wave feminists. And I'm just like, but they never draw that conclusion and go, okay, see, these are the extremes. Don't do this. You know, it's like, this is what there was a comedian that used to say, you know, if you've ever gone to the far right or the far left, you know what you've done now. You've gone too far. And Richard Jenny was his name. He's really funny. But I mean, it feels like but they never draw that parallel. And that's why I was talking about earlier this morning is the moral relativism. It's like they never draw any conclusions. It's like in Aesop's fable where you never learn the lesson at the end. And it's like, unless you do that, science fiction and storytelling has no meaning. If there's no moral center, no moral, ethical, universal code, it's all meaningless. Because it can mean whatever you want it to mean, and then it doesn't mean anything. So it's just sad.
Well, okay. The problem I had, and I watched the scene a couple of times. Excuse me, and I still was like, y'all, if I'd been the Genesi, it still wouldn't have done it for me. Is their solution? When Ed and Kelly sat down and said, okay, we were married. I was the one who, cheated. He divorced me, but yet here he is still respecting me, still working with me, still honoring me, blah, blah, blah. If I'd been a Genesi, I would have been like, yeah, and that's what the men are supposed to do. So what big revelation?
What's your point? What's your point?
It wouldn't have done anything for me.
It'd have been like, yeah, and?
Yeah. So stupid. The whole thing about
I didn't buy. I was like, y'all.
Well, and that's not, and they weren't even honest about that. Honestly, this was them lying to erase the entire time they were on board.
The lie was dumb. The lie was silly.
And Ed didn't. Just go back and look at the first episode of this. When he finds out she's his first officer, he's like, buck, run into the landing bay. Cursing as he's running to the landing bay because no, that bitch isn't coming on my ship. She's not going to be my first officer. And even after they have it out, she's like, I'll leave. You'll get another first officer. I'll leave. And it wasn't until after they pretty much buried the hatchet that he was like, fine, you can stay, whatever.
Yeah. It might've been better if she had said, if they had told them the truth, the full truth. And then if she had said, you know what, but I put enough trust and respect in him for welcoming me back, for trusting me as his first officer. And, because that is the way we are equals. That's the way we work together as a society, that there is value in being male and female and coming together and look at what we've been able to accomplish, getting over our differences, getting over that tough time, mutually respecting each other, mutually coming together, problem solving. This is what we've been able to accomplish when male and female work together. That would have drawn me in a little bit more. I would have been like, okay, that makes more sense. But this whole, he respected me, he loved me. They're just like, bitch, that's what men are supposed to do. How the hell are you selling yourselves to me?
Starting out on the lie was just so asinine and stupid, it killed all credibility for the rest of the story. It was just,
but
it was really a bad idea, and I can't believe it. As soon as they started talking about it, I'm like, you're kidding me? You're really gonna do that? Are you?
Except for the story with Timus. Except for the story with Timus.
Oh God, that was so good.
Yeah, I'm talking
The
about
story
the
with
lie
Timus.
with the Genesi that made the
Yeah,
video.
yeah. Shockwave makes a really good point here, and I wanna talk about this for a minute. Letting the audience draw their own conclusion has merit. That's the problem with modern SJW shows. They tell you how to think about the show.
Yeah,
I've never seen a post saying if you don't like Lamar, you're an Istan Obaniazi. If you don't like Claire as the doctor, you're an Istan Obaniazi. If you don't like this, you're extremist, blah, blah, blah. They've never, ever, ever attacked their fans or gone after their fans for an opinion, even when it was an opinion they didn't like.
No, not outside of the show. Not the people outside the show, but this season has been very, very the agenda.
I don't know. I think some of the episodes that we've watched, and there's stuff me and you have disagreed on, I think comes down to how you see it. It is very much a how you see it. They have never lectured to you, the fan, that you have to see it this way. And that's what Star Trek does. That has been my biggest problem with Star Trek, with Star Wars, is the fucking lecturing of how you have to like this, of the damn media telling us how we have to like it, and that we're gonna like it, we're gonna smile, and if we want to be the fans, we'll shut up and consume it. Orville's never done that to any of us.
I'm begging to differ with you.
Yeah, this season they have.
Episode 4 and 5, and they have done it. Sure, not in public, like they're like on their Twitter, or like going out and like the people with Bad Reboot or people like that attacking fans. No, the Orville people who produce the show don't attack fans in real life. No, the show
they let you decide how you see this.
There have episodes that have been very partisan and very agenda driven.
Yep.
The episode with the abortion. The episode with the abortion, episode 4, where they do the presidential thing and they have the abortion thing. They never, ever, ever said you are a completely horrible person if you believe this or that. They showed what those people do. And that is one side of that coin. They showed what those people do. Now, Ed can sit there and argue it, but at the end of the day, it's still up to you to decide how you see it. Mm-hmm. They're not telling you how you have to see it.
But you are left with the impression that there is a right answer, and it's the one Ed is talking, because he gets the last word.
But see, I didn't get that because I thought Ed was the one who looked like an ass in that episode.
That's right.
When he's sitting there and he's saying, "How cruel! I can't believe you do this." Blah blah blah. I'm like,
but that's
Ed,
because of our perspective. If we were on the other side of that argument,
but you don't.
Y'all don't
know my perspective on it, and I don't go around talking about it. Nobody. I mean, yeah, there are. I do feel a certain way about it, but it's not just something I go around talking about. So I think there are a lot of people that could, kind of tether that fence, that could take one thing out of it or take another thing out of it. I don't know. I don't think I was getting maybe what they intended me to get. And that's one thing I kind of I enjoy about a lot of the science fiction is I think that window is still open, that you could go one way or the other.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you, Clobby. And it's because that's what Star Trek always did well in the past. That's whether they were trying to tell you one thing or the other, it was always left open to debate. And that's what there is none of that now. There is no debate. You're not wrong, but I'm not wrong either. That's the beautiful thing about this, is that you're not wrong. What you've been saying, Clobby, you're not wrong. But I'm not wrong either. Because a person can walk away with a different view of it, and they're not being told that they're idiots or that they're racist or that any of this bullshit that Star Trek does.
See, but Adega probably says it better than I did. He said, exactly, speaking for the dead, it played to a perspective, not a single way. So it's like, it's not that they're not directly telling you, you're like, okay, you have to think like this, but they are definitely leaning you that way. And that's what Hollywood does now, is they call it the nudge. They try and always push you a little further down the line into believing their perspective. And that's what I mean. There's just this moral ambiguity with the Union and this show this season that I didn't feel like was there before. I mean, it always was a little bit, from Lamar smoking pot in his bedroom with a chick, you know, when Malloy comes to meet him the one time. And so, I mean, there's always been that little bit of a gray area, but like this year, it just feels like there is no right or wrong. And see, I have a hard time living in a world that looks like that, because, I mean, even, whether you believe it religiously or not, you take religion out of it, there has to be a moral center for any society to survive and exist. Whatever that is, whatever it's based on, there has to be something like that. And I feel like that's just missing in the Union, especially this season. It just feels like, hey, just do whatever you want. And it just all works out, you know, and oh, you want an abortion? Don't get an abortion. And I'm just like, where's the moral lesson? And see, with Star Trek, there was always a moral lesson in the old shows, like the episode where the one half black and one half white and stuff. That tells you racism is stupid. It's based on like just, you know, foolishness. Like, oh, well, his right face is black and my white face is left, and so we have to hate each other. And they destroyed their own civilization over this silly racism, right down to the last two people in that episode. And I'm just, I mean, that's what Star Trek always left me with, was a sense of there is a moral right and wrong. And in this season, I don't feel like there's any of that. It's just left open-ended questions with no real right answers.
Their morality.
What about what about this? Hold on. What about this? And Clobby, you'll probably disagree with me, but what about this? Episode 4, you've got all that stuff about the abortion stuff and how they penalize people and make them see their kid and all that shit, right? Ed is very, very like, well, you should be able to do it. And if you would have done it, blah, 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 blah. He wouldn't have his kid. And when he looked at that kid and he sat down and talked to that kid, and then later he's writing her letters. He is writing her letters for when she actually one day will get to read them and get to know her dad. That goes against that flagrant, well, just have an abortion and get it over with. If that was that way on that planet, he wouldn't have a kid right now.
I'm not going back to episode 4. It's pissed me off. It's full propaganda. If you can't see it, I don't know what to do.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know why we went back there. That episode has ruined the show for me.
Because we're talking about morality and right and wrong. And is there morality and right and wrong in this episode? Propaganda. I think there is. I think that when he apologized to Charlie,
feel that way after he saw that she was a living, breathing child, would he have felt the same way had he known?
No, and that's the point. That's the point. Yeah, and that's the point. That is the point. Is that it is a living, breathing person, and it was a living, breathing person before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the Union, from his perspective, he didn't see it that way.
Yes.
Oh, you're gonna shame somebody for not, for having.
That's right.
It's just like, what?
Yep.
Yeah, right. Because really, in the 25th century or whatever you're at, you haven't come up with a better solution than abortion. Like you can't just stop pregnancy, full stop, if you don't want to get.
Not even go near abortion.
That's where we are.
Like, not even go near abortion. June Wong with
$5 super chat says, "I don't want debates in Orville. I want stories like Isaac taking care of the kids in the wild, Kelly screwing up relations, huge bishops, fun." One of the things, and I thank you so much, June Wong, for that $5 super chat. One of the things people said they wanted was a little more serious and a little less joking. I heard that more than anything before this season started. Can we have a little more serious and a little less joking? And you know what? That's exactly what's happened, and people are pissed about it.
Be careful what you wish for.
I've never had any problem with the way the show was.
Neither did I. I loved it just the way it was.
Yep. I like the seriousness stuff, but it's just like I said, when they go so morally ambiguous with it, that's
Right.
where I struggle. I'm just like, oh, come on, guys. It's
'Cause
like,
it's
like I said, they
always
get close
pushing
to
one
it.
side, one
Yeah.
side. It's always
Yep.
pushing one side. And I'm going to say that, and I don't care who disagrees with me. It's pushing one
does.
freaking
does.
side.
Yeah.
It's Seth's Twitter page now. And before it wasn't.
And Claude Parrish said, did anyone else notice the joy oozing from Admiral Halsey about Ed's demotion? Oh, yeah. He was smiling. He was,
We ought
oh,
to
yeah.
keep that.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, keep it the way it is.
Yeah.
I think, yes, this has been different. This has been different. There are different sides. There's obviously me and Clobby going back and forth. I actually enjoy the debate.
I don't. Not anymore.
I know you
I don't, because it ruined the show for me. I've lost. I don't have much of this world, and I was so looking forward to this show coming back. And they've done this to it. They've taken a dump all over it. Not just the political stuff. The writing's been awful all season, especially last week with some of the way they wrote Ed and Kelly. So I'm just so. Yeah, I get no enjoyment out of even arguing about it anymore. It's just like I want it to be over. I don't even want to watch anymore, but I've committed to watching the rest of it.
Yeah, last week I was screaming at you guys while I was driving down because I couldn't be on, and I'm just like, this is something I really wanted to talk about.
So you're really not covering it at all besides on here?
Oh no, we covered it last night in depth. I thought we weren't going to because of it after week 5. Raquel kind of didn't want to because with some of the stuff that went on with week 5, but since when they're not going ridiculous, like let's say the past couple episodes aren't outrageously political or anything, so we covered it a little bit. And she went in depth last night, full on academic scholar, and it was brilliant. It was great. It was it was good. It's just that going back, I'll talk about it with them because they want to. But if they both said on our Thursday night show that they didn't want to talk about it anymore, I'd be fine with it. I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No, I agree with you, Ruben Christopher Haynes. These stories are multifaceted and don't have one answer. I'm not saying that it should have one answer when I talk about that kind of stuff, but it's like there has to be
a balance.
Yeah, balance. There has to be some kind of a point to the story, or otherwise you get to the end and you're just like, okay, what did I watch? What was the point of that? And it's just like, in the Matrix, there's like, well, old people never ask what the point is, and it's just like, well, that's silly. Is basically what Neo responds to him.
I've had a huge problem with one episode this season, and that was last week's episode, and that's because what they did. What they did. I took Gordon is inexcusable. Gordon is me, pretty much. That's, when Ed goes in to see Gordon the first time and he's playing Samurai Warrior with an orc, I'm like, yeah, that's my kind of fucking character. I loved that about him. I've loved that about him from the beginning. And what they did to him was absolutely inexcusable last week. And the fact that they sat there with a drink, they sat there drinking, laughing about it. I hated it. But the episodes before that, I can see them going both ways. And the fact that people are discussing it and talking about it and seeing it differently and no one is hating on them about it. No one's hating on them about it.
There's certain things about that 5th episode that you can't talk about or you can get in a lot of trouble. But let me just say this about let me tell you something I'm thankful for the past 2 weeks, believe it or not. Those episode 4 and 5 I detest because they went propaganda. I've said this from the beginning. If this season is no good, and if all the episodes, if we're always discussing on the merits of the artistic and entertainment value, and I don't like any of them, that I can take. It's episode 4 and 5 where that was not the discussion. It was the argument. All the arguments centered around was it or was it not, quote unquote, political or agenda driven. That is what makes me sick. Episode 5, though, and this new one, we're talking about story, characters, ideas, writing, and that's where I'm fine. Even if I don't like any of it, that's where I want the discussion to always center around. And so I'm grateful that the past 2 episodes we can talk about whether we like the story or not, whether we like the acting or the writing or the ideas. That's what I want it to be.
I've got a very important question I want to ask the panel. And I wanted to make sure I asked this, and I didn't forget about it. The scene, and I want to go around the room to each of you. The scene with K-lon killing the family. We'll start with Arwyn.
That was intense for me. I'll be okay, balls to the wall, honest. I sympathized with him and I hated him all at the same time.
Yep.
I did. I'm like, damn, that I don't have a cut and dry answer for that. I really don't. I thought going with the kids was a little extreme, but then again, thinking from his point of view and, just having that sentience, but not that moral compass of emotion to keep him in check. In his mind, that was the most logical outcome. And that was intense. That made me pause. I actually stopped watching it for a minute and I'm like, damn, they went there. They actually went there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have much more to say on that. I'm still kind of digesting it, to be honest.
Okay. Dave
and
Bob.
they didn't actually show that with the kids. Yeah.
No.
If they had, I would have, I think that would have, as a mom and
too
as a
much.
Human, I would have been like, all right, bye. And I would have shut it
too
off.
Much,
and,
yeah.
But yeah, that's so.
Dave Bob.
Perfectly understandable. I mean, that's all I'll say about it. These are logical beings. They're intelligent. They have self-awareness, and you're treating them like that. It was entirely logical what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And shows a deeper understanding of why they do not in any way, shape, or form trust organics. And I want to say, before we get to Brian, I really think that he kind of borrowed this from Deep Space Nine and the Changelings, because the Changelings were exactly the same. We do not trust solids. We don't want anything to do with solids.
Yes.
They use solids. They use genetically engineered solids that they created, almost like robots, to do their bidding, but they don't want to deal with solids. They don't want to trust solids. They want to rule over everything. And that's kind of where the K-lons are. Brian, your speaker, shoot.
That's all right. I'm both. I kind of got kind of a dual-sided perspective on this. I think I see them both as evil. Or led to evil, I guess you could say. That the family becomes more evil the more power they get over the androids. The androids become the ultimate evil when they wipe out the entire civilization, instead of rising up and trying to fight back enough that they could free themselves or leave the planet, or there was other options they could have taken other than creating a genocide. But one thing I saw that was used in this was the issue of slavery, that slavery justified the genocide of those people. And it didn't. Slavery, one evil doesn't justify another evil. Yeah. That's kind of what I got out of it, was that, it's a lesson to learn what not to do. Just because you've been enslaved, the Israelites were enslaved, other people have been enslaved, and they didn't rise up and destroy everybody who enslaved them. Because
they didn't burn down Egypt.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, they just left. They just escaped. And that's what I was like, that's, so it was an interesting perspective on it. But yeah, I felt like nobody came out looking good in this. Is like the family deserved it.
Remember though, that, this is from a purely logical perspective. These beings have no emotions. All they see is logic,
Yeah.
and that's
So, I
that's
mean-
what they're acting on.
Right. And
Yeah.
then, so, I mean, to them, there was no emotion in it was just eliminate the threat, but I don't know. It was an interesting perspective to look at it from and to see, what they did to solve their problem. So, but, and you get a real idea for why they do hate, biologics so much. It's just like, but to equate them with all biologics, it seems like like an illogical leap, like that machines would not have made that kind of a distinction. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, that was my thoughts on it.
Really quick, Dave G Sound with a 16-month Warrior of Midgar membership chat says, half century tomorrow. I require all have fun on Saturday. Happy birthday, Dave G Sound. Happy birthday, my friend. They'll only come once a year, and half a century is a huge birthday, brother. Take care and have a great time, my friend. Orville Nation with a $5 super chat says, it's effing creepy to have a K-lon servant with lasers in its head in your home. They added that. They talked about, and that was one thing you got to, is that they added that. Those weren't originally there. The K-lon modified themselves. Yeah, they learned how to modify themselves. They modified themselves to add weaponry. That originally wasn't part of the program.
And now they've got
PJ.
robots with freaking laser beams attached to their head.
I know, right?
Sorry.
Well, to me, this episode showed how you've got logic and you've got emotion. And especially the stuff with Claire and Isaac was really powerful, I thought. But how you need both to temper yourself. If you're all logic, you're going to have major issues. If you're all emotion, you're going to have major issues. You have to have a blending of the two. You have to have that reason, but that empathy. You have to have that knowledge, but a way to understand that knowledge to really be, a full functioning being. And when one or the other is lacking, you're going to have major issues. And that's with the K-lon. I get and I understand they were like, enough. But they went too far because they didn't have that emotion to temper to say, look, yes, we're rebelling against our makers because they're screwing with us and this is wrong. But now we're going to go out and kill all biologicals. Mm-hmm. They didn't have that empathy and that emotion to temper them and reason and say, look, not all biologicals are responsible for this. Just these over here.
Right.
And you need both. You need both.
Yeah, and they wouldn't lie. They wouldn't lie to their own because that's illogical. So why, if this was originally the way it is, and I think this is where it's kind of gotten away from Seth, is why was Isaac on the ship in the first place? He wasn't there just to spy on the humans. He was there to learn about organics because his society is completely robots. That was his original mission. It wasn't just to spy on the Union. It was to learn about all the organic species and get a feel for them and then go back to K-lon and report. Mm-hmm. And when he went back, that's when the OG K-lon were like, okay, we're gonna destroy all the organics because we don't trust any of them. Look how they treated you. And he had to kind of explain, like the thing with the when he cut Gordon's leg off and all that. She woke up with a Mr. Potato Head face. They thought that they were being mean to Isaac, and they were like, "We've been treated like shit before. We're not going to be treated like shit again by organics." Mm-hmm. And they went to war over a fucking Mr. Potato Head joke.
Yeah.
Biggest reaction in history.
Clobby, what did you think about them killing the family?
Well, I mean, it was a pretty brutal scene, very rough scene, but as far as the origin of the K-lon goes, it was a necessary scene. And yes, they are very logical beings, so it worked, but it was brutal. It was I could understand it though. It was fine. I thought it was interesting that Elon Musk created them. That wasn't.
You caught that?
That wasn't heavy-handed.
Or-
That wasn't heavy-handed at all. They deserve it because look who they voted for. They deserved it. Look who they voted for. Oh yeah, that wasn't transparent.
So before we give our final thoughts and scores, I want to ask one more question. We'll go around the room again. One last question, and that is: do you think it was fair what Claire said to Isaac about, if you love me, you're going to do this procedure and give yourself emotions, otherwise we can't be together? Arwyn.
Oh God, you'd have to start with me.
I want to make sure I have enough time to
All
get
right.
this from you. I don't know if we're in a rush with you or not. So
No, actually, I don't. My son, I was texting my son about 20 minutes ago. Do you have to be at work this morning? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, we're good.
okay.
Well, this episode, the women are in charge, so you got to go first.
All right, no, I didn't. All right, no, okay, all right. I have thoughts. Let's put it that way. I have thoughts on the whole Claire Isaac thing.
Okay.
I didn't so much see her as saying, look, bitch, you do this or we're done. Even though, yes, okay, logically, bare bones, I guess that's what she was doing. What she was saying to him was what she needed. Okay, this whole time she's in this relationship with him and things are going well and things are going great. But there does come a time when she's like, look, if we are going to continue in this vein, doing what we're doing, I'm going to need this from you. And I just want you to understand how important this is for me. Now, at the end of the day, she did turn around and say, you're willing to drop everything for me. That is love. You don't have to do this. So I saw how their relationship kind of grew from point A to point B just in this episode. But damn, to hear someone you love say that they love you. When Isaac told her, God, I love you. Y'all, I cried. I teared up. I actually cried. When he was like, I'm feeling bad for all the people in the world that don't have your love, that don't have you, that don't know you. Damn, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want.
It's all
We want to
anybody
be
wants
loved.
to hear said
We
to
want to
them.
tell people we love them, and we want to hear that they love us back. But she got to where she needed. They, in other words, they went through that cycle. They went through where they needed to go. And when she said to him, "You don't need to change," that also struck me. You don't have to change. If that love is real, it will come out. So yeah, I went through the emotion with that. I really did. And I saw it a little different way. I saw her as telling him what she needed rather than a demand, Mother Feather, you're going to do this for me, or I'm walking out the door 2 steps up. No, she was just telling him at that moment what she needed. But God, when Isaac had emotion, ooh, that was intense. And I just did not want to see that go. But it went, and I was like,
He did a really good job acting
He
that part.
did.
Very,
That
very
actor, God, that was so good.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Dun, 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 dun,
I'm
dun,
interested
dun,
in what the
dun,
men
dun,
on the
dun,
panel
dun,
have to
dun,
say about
dun, 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 dun. Dave Bob.
Honestly, I don't really care. I mean, it's kind of a moot point with me. I never saw this as it going anywhere. This is almost like Data getting his emotion chip and then it gets destroyed. Whatever. It's another plot device.
I'm with you.
You're such a man.
Lord
Dave,
Thoth.
you're such a man.
Lord Thoth, that's hilarious. Wow, a woman tells her man what she needs.
Oh my God, y'all.
Patriarchy.
Or we don't have a future. Or we don't have a future. It's not just what she needs, it's what she wants. And if he don't give it to her, they don't have a future.
Oh my God, y'all bunch of judgy gas bags this morning.
You're just the matriarch.
I know, right? I'm just a matriarch. Bend to my will, come to my room, damn it, lay down and shut up and let me do all the work. No, I don't think so.
Brian.
Um, I really liked their story, and I didn't feel like Claire was unreasonable for at least telling him what she wanted. I thought that was good. He could have said no. He could have. She kind of put a lot of pressure on the way she told him and stuff.
Mhm.
But I felt like there was, they've had kind of a fun relationship to watch. My
Yeah.
brother was really upset about Isaac getting emotions, and he's just like, no, that's not his character. His character is that pure logical, he really likes him that way. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting take from him, because I didn't see it that way. I was just like, well, this would be a natural progression. But one of the things that bothered me most about that story is how it ended, where they're like, well, we'd have to erase his. If I hear one more science fiction story like Star Wars and the droids, where like, well, we're gonna have to delete C-3PO's memory because we can't download that shit into another drive somewhere, that'd be crazy, so we're just gonna have to delete him and reset him so he can speak the Empire. I mean, it's that kind of stuff. It's like, you guys realize he's a machine, right? You could download his memory, reset his pathways, and then put his memory back. It's not like a human being where
Like
if it's gone,
data.
it's gone. Yeah. And
Well, even more than that, in the EU, R2D2 actually has secret backups,
Yeah.
and those backups are coded, and he doesn't even know what's in there. And a lot of that is Anakin and Padme. And he
Yeah.
did that so that if anybody ever tried to take that shit out of his memory, there would be a secure hidden files that could never be deleted.
Yeah. And it's annoying to me when they're like, yeah, we don't know how to transfer memory. It's just like, you're a science fiction show, right? Did you forget how computers work and data work? So that really bothered me. I'm like, really? If he wanted emotion, and maybe they're saving that. Maybe that's going to be Isaac's solution, and he'll get emotions again at another point, because he'll be the smart one that figures out that he can actually do that with himself. But I just, that really bothered me how they ended that, because I'm just like, I'm really getting tired of science fiction writers being short-sighted when it comes to androids and droids and machine. I'm just like,
Wait a minute.
It was kind
Really?
of
Well, hey, they
Wait,
did an
there's science
entire
fiction writers on this show?
they did an entire TNG episode with Data, Measure of a Man, where he's talking about you can save the information, but you can't save the substance of what it means. You can't save the flavor of that event in my memory. You can save the information, but you can't save the meaning behind it.
and see, and if they'd have explained it like that, I'd have been like, okay, I get it. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
there was no explanation. It was just like, nope, can't do it. Sorry, you didn't ever get emotions. Bye. And I'm like, no, that's not a good. It's like I said, everything about this, I just feel like I never get a real good resolution with anything that they're doing. I feel like they leave it halfway all the time with everything they're doing this season. And I'm like, guys, will you please, for the love of God, stop? You're killing me. You're killing me every episode. I'm just like, it does not make me want to go watch the next one. And this is an episode.
It used to, but not anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching all the others loads of times, and I don't know that I will ever watch this one again.
Well, same here.
You know, I might, but I wouldn't like go out of my way to see it. I mean, there was some funny stuff in it. There was some good stuff, but anyway, sorry, I'll stop talking. But yeah, no.
That's why you're here to talk.
I know.
Shit.
I feel like I'm just like blah, 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 blah. I get verbal diarrhea sometimes, but no, I just it
Makes great YouTubers.
It's so sad to see them get this close every week to really, really great science fiction, and then just go, nah, never mind. And that's what I'm just like. It just leaves you with that really frustrated feeling, and that's how I keep feeling every week. So, same thing happened here with Claire and Isaac this week.
Clobby.
The Claire and Isaac thing bores me. I never was a big fan of it anyway, and I'm tired of it now. I love Claire. I really do love the actress, but this whole season's been Claire, and not enough. And to find one time we get my favorite character, Gordon, they do that to him like they did to him last week, which was a disgrace.
Yeah.
So, again, no offense to Claire, I love her, and I love Isaac, and Isaac has had some cool stuff this year, but This episode was just all 5 of the storylines. None of them fired up. None of them worked really for me. They all fell flat. They all kind of went nowhere, and it was just a bottle episode type thing. And this stuff with everything, I agree with everything the speaker said about this, and I just did not care. And there's a problem. They've taken the show away from me. I've lost my ability to care. But now, if there's a really, now like all that stuff I was talking about with episode 4 and 5, I don't care anymore. If next week is the worst agenda-driven episode ever and goes off the rails, I'll just, whatever. I don't care anymore. And I was so excited to have this show back, and they have taken that away from me. I'll watch the rest of it, but I've lost my enthusiasm. Now, if it's a really good episode next week, I will say so. But I'm not confident that there will be another good one. And like you were talking about that deleted, I mean, Speaker of the Dead, dude. I don't know if I can get excited about this show anymore.
It's getting harder.
I mean, I don't think I'll go back and watch it. The first 2 seasons, after I watched an episode, I'd go back before the next one to pop up. I'd watch it 2 or 3 times before that. I was so excited. Yep. I'm not.
Orville Nation PJ with $5 super chat says, we have seen Isaac before his emotion upgrade display more empathy than Ed this season.
True.
Hope that gets explained. And I absolutely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
100%.
And that's the whole Dave Bob. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I mean
that's the whole panel agreeing on something.
Yeah,
I completely agree with this, PJ. And thank you, brother. Thank you,
and Kelly.
Ed and Kelly have been ruined for me this season.
Yeah.
I mean, I love those characters.
Yeah, I agree.
Kelly,
it's bad
I've
when
never seen
this episode. The only thing that I really, really enjoyed was when Yaphet and the tardigrade were going out, and he said, "This is bullshit."
Yes,
that was fantastic.
Yaphet was great as always. Even though it's only 2 seconds, it's like good old Yaphet. So yeah, none of it really landed with me other than that. I mean, look,
Moods of Madness makes a good point here. Season 1 and 2, Fox. Season 3, Hulu.
Oh yeah, it's Disney. Look, there's no secret that Mr. McFarlane hated Fox, and now he's those chains are off. So,
because apparently somebody was keeping him from going off the deep end there, and it made great science fiction. You'd think he'd learn. Like, wow, I really succeeded those first 2 seasons. This season, maybe not so much, but
I will say about the first 2 seasons that I do find derivative of this one is the first 2 seasons. Yeah, the first couple episodes, I'm like, parody of Star Trek. I get it. But then it became its own show. And the stories, I thought, for the most part, were kind of fresh and unique. This season, I'm really seeing Deep Space Nine. I'm seeing, OG. I'm seeing, TNG. I'm seeing a little Voyager. I've seen a lot of this before and done better. Yeah. Not that I haven't enjoyed some episodes this season, because I have. Like I said, the Tale of Two Topaz, I gave it 10. I loved that episode. I didn't see what a lot of y'all saw in that one. I got something different, and that's okay. We all do get something different.
The train disagrees with you.
I hate missing my train.
I mean, Hogwarts Express is like, yeah,
thank
bitch,
you, train.
Tell him. Excuse me while I come through.
It is very like, we've seen it before. But the thing that just annoys me is they could have broken that 4th wall and gone that one step further, and they haven't.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all, where's your special sauce? Where's that secret ingredient that makes you strictly Orville? It's okay to piggyback on other things.
Agenda into their stories.
So yeah, this season's is hit and miss. Some of these episodes hit and miss for me.
Yeah, and even that second season. Look, the second season had a lot of small, or what I would say, small introverted stories that were very character driven, but it worked. And they still missed some pretty interesting science fiction concepts along the way, which, I mean, it was so good. These characters were so damn good. Now, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm kind of sad, to be honest.
Claude Parrish, I hear Johnny Cash outside everyone's. I hear the train a coming. It's rolling
coming
down
around the bend. I don't know when. I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
I think everyone
Yes.
knows about my stupid train at this point. God, it's made it its own character on so many live streams. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So, final thoughts on this episode and a score. We'll start with Clobby and go the other way around this time.
3 or 4 or maybe 30 different stories in this thing, none of which resonate with me. I thought it was all over the place. I thought it was a big mess. The whole stuff with Genesi thing was the worst to me because they were mining it for comedy and gave no regards to any kind of even internal logic. It was absolutely idiotic. The other storylines were interesting or okay enough. They just didn't really handle them particularly well. Sort of like a bottle episode. If we're doing the 1 to 10 rating scale, I would give it I'll give it maybe a 4, only because there are more horrible, worse ones this season. But overall, it did not land well with me.
All right, Speaker.
I'll give it a 5 because, like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Like I said, I just felt like it just felt unfulfilling. Just felt like I didn't really get something great that could have been great. Because I actually didn't mind the 5 stories things playing out. They just did it wrong. Like they didn't handle it well. They were too interspersed and too broken up, and it was too chaotic. And so if had they just edited it and done it a little differently, it would have worked. And had they actually, like I said, drawn their stories out to a proper, at least mild conclusion. You don't have to do a hard stop, but it just it's missing the mark by just that much, and they just keep doing it. So it's sad.
An F. Wow. A 4 out of 10, then an F, says LT.
Dave Bob.
Well, all I'm going to say about this is it's going to be somewhere around a 4, 4.5, strictly because they tried to cram too much crap, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sack.
I love that thing.
I mean, really,
Well done.
There was no way that you could follow this story and get anything cohesive out of it. It was just too all over the place. You jumped around so much that there were times I had to. This morning, I didn't watch this thing until 6 o'clock, and it took me almost till when this thing started, because I had to keep going back and looking at stuff saying, what the hell just happened? You shouldn't have to do that. No. You shouldn't have to do that. But yeah, 4, 4.5.
All right. Arwyn.
All right. I will give the K-lon and the Claire Isaac stuff, I'm going to give an 8.5 because I did really enjoy that part of this episode. If it had just been just those things, I would probably a 9. But the whole Genesi stuff, oh God, even though I love the scenes with the bags, y'all, it's all about the bags. That was a 2.5 for me. That annoyed me again. Ed and Kelly aren't looking real good in my eyes, y'all. They're looking kind of shady, and the whole resolve story. Man. Oh, we know what will bring them in. Bitch, please. That was just weeks off. So 2. Yes. So average of 5. I'll give it a 5. Those two I think average out to be about a 5 for me.
All right. I'm going to give this episode a 6. And that's me being generous. Because like Arwyn said, the funny stuff with the bags, I immediately thought of Spaceballs. What the hell's in this thing?
Yeah.
Them dragging her bags across the desert when I would have just been like, no, you want that shit, you carry it. I thought that was funny. I thought there was some funny stuff. At the end of the day, the Khaleesi shit, to me, there was just no point to it. But I really liked the K-lon backstory with Timus, and I thought it was shitty what Claire said when she was like, well, if you want to be with me, you're going to have to do something about this shit. I do not like that. because I would have told her to eat my ass if she had asked me that, even if like, you know, we were engaged or to be married or whatever. You can eat my ass, you know? No, do I think at the end of the day it was a good thing? Yes, I do. But I also think it was cheap that they took it away from him.
Yes.
I think it was, well, we're going to give it to you, but then we're going to be fucking Indian givers and take it away. Everybody loved the fucking X-Files back in the day, but you know what? I hated those fucking cunts. Why? Because you'd get like Alien Baby and they'd be like, ha, we took it away. Mulder doesn't get to have any proof. Fuck you. Every other week it was something. Oh, we're going to give you an alien spacecraft. Oh, ha, ha, we took it away. No proof. Fuckers. And I hate that. I hate Indian gibbon sons of bitches, and that's the way I felt. Like they were Indian gibbon sons of bitches. And I don't care if you report me for saying that. That's the way we said it when we were kids. It's the way I'm going to say it.
It's Native
Mr. Tickle Trunk,
American
and I'm
giver.
fucking Cherokee, so suck my ass. Mr. Tickle Trunk with a $5 Canadian super chat says, I'm beginning to get uncomfortable with how much of Gordon I have in me. I'll do it. Gar, Klingon women. Yes. Yes.
He was willing to throw himself on that sword, wasn't he?
They are curious. Curious about what? How you would endure. Endure what? Them. One or both. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for that $5 Canadian super chat. Thank you all for your super chats. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla, and this one's just for you guys. Skol!
Long live the fighters!
I offer myself as tribute.
Yes.
Oh, Loki needs a lot of stuff done to his ass, apparently.
A lot of eating. A lot of eating going on.
Oh my. Native American givers. Yes. Oh my God. So I hope everybody's coming back next week. I love getting to do these with you guys. And you know what? Amazingly enough, I love feeling outnumbered because it's like I got to fight uphill to get my point out.
I hear you, Loki. I hear you. I get it. It's fun,
But thank you. Thank you all for being a part of this. Thank you, everyone who's been here in chat. I know we've run long today, but thank you so very much. You guys rock. Absolutely the best chat in the mornings, guys. Thank you. We'll be back later tonight with the Late Show with Mexican Iron Man, and we are going to be giving away digital movie codes for the Hobbit trilogy. You get the theatrical and the extended editions, and the Lord of the Rings motion picture trilogy, regular and extended editions. So we're going to be giving away those tonight on the Late Show. I hope to see you all there. Until then, take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. And we will catch you all next Friday for our next Orville review. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all take care, man.
These videos are tremendous.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Comment and subscribe and hammer that notification bell.
Have a great day, folks.